What could I possibly say that can add to the everlasting quality of the original Godzilla film? The film that started a 70-year-long series, began an entire genre, gave its homeland a constructive way to grieve over dramatic identity-questioning events, and exposed to the world of film the Japanese perspective of said events. Well, I'll try. So I guess the first place to start is the plot. Godzilla begins with a chilling attack at sea from a blazing light shining from the surface of the Pacific, completely incinerating a passing boat. After much chaos surrounding the incident, it's slowly revealed that the thing causing this and several other strange events is a titular Mesozoic beast, Godzilla. Awakened from its undersea paradise by the fires of the hydrogen bomb, the humans on ground level make it their mission to learn more about the creature, questioning whether studying or killing the animal will lead to the real destruction of the world at large. God, well, let's take this step by step, shall we? This is a film directed by the legendary Ishiro Honda, a man whose first-hand experience as an Imperial Japanese soldier had shaped his disdain for war and his style of storytelling. Tomoyuki Tanaka, the man who thought of the idea of Godzilla while looking out of the window of an airplane traveling over the Pacific, acts as producer here. The mad lad Eiji Tsuburaya brought his impeccable skills and special effects to the table to create a bone-chillingly realistic tangibility to the visuals you simply can't get anywhere else. And finally, Akira Ifukube, whose score is one of the most memorable and haunting I've ever personally listened to. I'm not playing. Top that with an original screenplay from Takeo Murata and Tomoyuki Tanaka himself, the movie was bound for greatness. In my opinion, the script is the most important part of a film, so let's dig into it. The pacing is excellent, it keeps your attention at all times. What happens on screen is always engaging, something that is really hard to consistently keep up with, especially once you head into the second and third act, the former being the hardest act in any film to be appropriately executed. It doesn't linger on scenes the way monster movies of the time do. It knows exactly the story it's trying to build towards. A story that is entirely fueled through the ideological clashes ingrained in many of the characters' interactions. Akira Takarada as Ogata, the stoic everyman, Momoko Koshi as Emiko, the innocent but capable female lead, Takashi Shimura as Dr. Yamane, the honest and reserved paleontologist, and the amazing Akihiko Hirata as the iconic Dr. Serizawa, give great and earnest performances as their respective characters. Each character is written well and is likable. I'd be lying if I said all of them were particularly deep, but none are grating, and they don't overstate themselves, something I can't stand when it comes to writing character dialogue. They typically don't say what they're feeling at any given moment. It's up to the visuals to communicate what's going on in the character's mind, something this movie does thankfully do very well, especially compared with other films of the genre. The story escalates organically. Godzilla is treated like an actual crisis, and a lot of debate is had on whether the public should even know of his existence. Once Godzilla makes his landfall in Tokyo though, the visuals speak for themselves. Japan's ability to stop Godzilla quickly fails and they evacuate as fast as they can. What follows is perfect shot after perfect shot, and a masterclass in pacing. For being sci-fi, the realism portrayed in Godzilla's destructive waltz through Tokyo is authentic. They don't pull punches. All the characters can do is quietly watch in horror as the city they love is ripped apart by this Jurassic behemoth. Cinematography is something I take very seriously when it comes to this stuff, so I was really impressed going into the original Godzilla several times and seeing how emotions are conveyed through nothing but what you're seeing on screen, as any good movie should do. Besides Godzilla scenes, I can think of plenty that stick out as amazing shots on their own that exude style and expression. Just look at this. Look at this one. After the music thuds as Emiko walks out of Serizawa's room, horrified. Shot in a high angle, a narrow stairway creating a frame within a frame. She only occupies a third of the screen. The rest is blackened from the darkness, communicating claustrophobia. She's obscured by shadow, with the window acting as the only backlighting to this dusty stairway. Momoko Koshi refuses to show her face, and the piano continues to echo through the silence. Absolutely beautiful. And there's plenty more throughout. Even something as simple as Emiko looking at the sea as they sail through it is treated with dignity. No music, no dialogue. Just Emiko staring at the water, realizing the horrors that can await them under the seemingly harmless surface. Look at Yamane Go. This is the stuff that gives a film its personality, its self-respect and dignity. I can go on and on about the visual storytelling in Godzilla, but I can safely say that it's not fucking around. It's not trying to be cheap entertainment, it's not trying to be cheesy. It's trying to tell an actual story, and the people behind every frame knew this. To have such technical sophistication for a 1954 Japanese film 9 years after World War II is nothing short of stunning. Sound is probably one of the most iconic and time-honored traits of the Godzilla series, and it all starts here. The roar, the score, it's something you can only appreciate fully if you go out and listen to it. From the march, Godzilla's theme, and the Oxygen Destroyer theme, it's classic. It is just classic. One example I really like is the stomping motif. You hear Godzilla stomp in the beginning of the movie, and of course it's supposed to be a signifier of Godzilla's approach. However, you slowly start realizing that the sound effect isn't just a diegetic thump. It becomes a non-diegetic music motif that plays every time Godzilla makes his presence known, even when he isn't walking. That single thump plays every measure or two in certain scenes, and it's some of the most clever techniques of immersion I have ever seen. The real showstopper here is Godzilla. Portrayed by Haruo Nakajima, the slow-trotting deadpan demeanor of the atomic dinosaur is chilling. One of the only movies where Godzilla is actually scary. I think it's fueled by the design. Its googly eyes and charred exterior echo an actual animal, one that's been baptized by the fire of the atom. This design is where all Godzilla sprang from. The effects here for everything Godzilla destroys borderline haven't been replicated quite like it is here. Half of it looks fucking real. The buildings collapsing, the trains, it looks like World War II footage. Even when you know it's fake, the spirit, resourcefulness, and passion behind it just endears. Godzilla as a special effect is an accomplishment. What's more interesting is Godzilla's relationship with everything around him. Going back to the intricacies of the script, the perspectives of Dr. Yamane and Dr. Serizawa are the emotional and thematic heart of the film. Yamane's desire to keep the creature alive for scientific study is something deeply rooted in Yamane's genuine love for his craft. Just look how excited he is for finding a fucking trilobite. He insists that knowledge can be gained from Godzilla's existence, hinting that Godzilla's sustained invulnerability to radiation can lead to potential breakthroughs, with Ogata stating that Godzilla's mere existence is no different from the horror Japan experienced with the 2 bombs dropped on them at the end of World War II, and that he should be killed.
なぜ物理衛生学の立場から研究しようとしないんだ。先生、僕は反対です。尾形君、私は気まぐれに言ってるんではないよ。あのゴジラは世界中の学者が誰一人として見ていない。ゴジラこそ我々日本人の上に今の覆いかぶさっている水爆そのものではありませんか。その水爆の放射能を受けながら、なおかつ生きている生命の秘密をなぜ解こうとはしないんだ。しかし、君までがゴジラを抹殺しようというのか。
Serizawa's main conflict is the refusal to use the oxygen destroyer to kill Godzilla, worrying it may open Pandora's box and give humanity an even deadlier weapon than the H-bomb to add to their arsenal. A good bit of dialogue is had about this clashing of ideals, and the scene it's in is the best of the movie. It's simple, well-paced, and doesn't overstay its welcome.
人間というものは弱いもんだよ。一切の書類を焼いたとしても、俺の頭の中には残っている。俺が死なない限り、どんなことで再び使用する立場に追い込まれないと誰が断言できる。ああ、こんなものさえ作らなきゃ。
To truly understand why radiation is such a huge topic of this film, you have to get a grasp of what post-war Japan was like. The atom bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August of 1945 were horrifying events that traumatized civilians who experienced it firsthand, and almost single-handedly shattered any semblance of hope Japan could keep its national identity the way it was before. Regardless of what I think of Imperial Japan, you cannot deny that the defeat was more blowing to the hearts of the Japanese people. Not necessarily because of their soft spots for the Emperor or the Empire, but because of its drastic proportions. Let's put aside the politics, put aside personal opinions about the greater good during the last act of the war. The people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki saw their homes, thousands of people, completely incinerated in a few seconds. A flash of light so powerful that the world would never be the same. It's not necessarily about how many people died, it's about the way they died. Without mercy, an unloving ball of flame is what melts and eviscerates everything in sight within a couple seconds. A real hell on earth. Imagine you're going about your day, completely unaware, and suddenly everything goes white. The blast, the fallout, and the cancerous, bloody, tender distortions that come from a radioactive fireball. It was unlike anything the world had ever remotely seen. There was nothing quite like it. And Japan was the only nation to ever experience it. Hiroshima is where the world changed. Japan is where the world changed. And the Japanese people didn't really have any sort of way to cope. America occupied Japan for the following decade or so, which included heavy bans on making films or media based on war. All of these experiences are the fundamental foundation of the original Godzilla film's thematic core. The monster created by the hate of man now seeks vengeance upon humankind, and all these characters are caught in the crossfire, trying to figure out how to deal with this new breed of creature, how to defeat it, and the consequences of doing so. What does Godzilla mean? What is Godzilla? In this film, Godzilla is the atomic bomb, mercilessly destroying the pillars of man's success, setting us back years. Humanity made the bomb. We did this. Godzilla is the symbol of human hatred. He's a symbol of human consequence, a symbol of human ignorance, and a symbol of nature's wrath. In a way, he's an unbiased reflection of humankind as a whole, a reflection none of us want to see. Which is why this movie is simply amazing. The pacing, simple but well-written characters, one-of-a-kind special effects, iconic soundtrack, solid, memorable script, amazing cinematography, and a timeless story of man versus nature are the things that have made Godzilla into a generation-defining masterpiece. The only things I don't actually like in this film is some basic melodrama, which of course I'm not really against on a principle level. Sometimes there's scenes where characters can act overly emotional without enough previous footage showing their development towards said emotional act. It's there of course, but more of it would have made the characters slightly more complex. And if you know me, I'm all about going deeper and deeper into a character's subconscious, so maybe that's a me thing. Regardless of that, that's really the only flaw I can think of. Anything else wrong with this film would just be imperfections in the editing that only a fucking nerd like me would notice. It's a solid film on every level. Godzilla isn't perfection, but it's exemplary in most ways. Can it be surpassed? Yeah, I definitely say so. There's a lot of monster movies that are great movies first as well. But like its American older brother, King Kong, regardless of future movies' lower or superior quality, nothing can quite capture the exact energy that the original did. It came at a specific time, from specific people, for specific people. None of this takes away from the fact Godzilla is genuinely a good, well-made movie first, a monster movie second. Along with the original King Kong, Godzilla is one of the most significant monster movies ever made, and one that, unlike King Kong, actually still has legitimate real-world relevance all these years later. Make love, not war. Ishiro Honda said so.